Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to look at running sessions you would do in marathon race week. Now, whether you're doing 2 or 3 week taper, you're going to be obviously dropping your mileage down. The tempting thing is to drop the mileage and the intensity as well, but I would encourage you to keep the intensity up. I've touched on this in other taper videos as well, but I'm just going to recap very briefly. Final week of the race, or race prep, is going to be 30-40% of your marathon peak week volume at the absolute most. So within that, we're going to be doing some different session types. There'll probably be an easy run, and there might be 1 to 2 harder runs in there as well. Again, though, fairly short. Keep the race paces fairly short in length as well. So when we're going for our marathon pace, which I absolutely would recommend doing, keep it, half a mile to a mile, maybe 2 miles, an absolute push, depending on the length of run you're doing and what you're aiming for. But that allows us to settle into our pace. Now, the shorter repetitions give us a great idea or great way to practice getting started. So we might do a mile warm up, take 60 seconds of just completely stopped, and then go and start our watch and then correct straight into marathon pace. You could do that 2, 3, 4 times and get really in the zone of like, how am I going to feel? How much effort do I really need to put in to get back into my rhythm? Now, obviously, with so many people's watches, potentially the start positions, your GPS might be off. So settling into that rhythm really quickly without the need to keep looking at your watch where you might trip over people. It's very, very busy at the start of marathons. There's a lot of benefit to doing these shorter repetitions and kind of really settling into how is this going to feel on race day, because you are recovering, or certainly well recovered by this point. The other thing I'll do is recommend using your carbon shoes. Now, whether you know 100% which shoe you're going to use, or you are kind of toying between a couple, you could try a different couple of shoes. I've done this previously before the Amsterdam Marathon. I had 2 shoes I was kind of picking between one carbon, one non-carbon, and I did the exact same session in both shoes to get some ideas of comparative stats. There was a slight risk to the carbon shoe in that I wasn't 100% happy with it, but it was significantly better in the heart rate data for the same sorts of pace. I thought, you know what, I'll take that risk. Everything else has gone well. This is one I'm not too fussed about that marathon, so I thought I'll give it a go. Actually, it was the right call. But doing that comparison can be fantastically useful. So if you pick up between 2, try both carbon shoes. If you're really happy with what you're doing, just go with that shoe, but do a session in that shoe. Maybe go a longer stint because you're going to recover slightly better and be less fatigued by that. But certainly it's a really good thing to do. Now, whether you're using carbon shoes or not, because you're going to feel great and you're going to feel much, much stronger than you have probably for quite some time, you've got all the peak of fitness, but you've got the recovery kicking in, you're probably going to want to run quicker. So you might well find yourself ticking along running, hey, this is marathon effort, give or take, or what you've been used to feeling as marathon effort. Actually, you're running 10, 15, 20 seconds a mile quicker, which I've seen happen more than a few times. And the temptation is to go with that and go, hey, but this is the right effort level. It won't be. Stick to your pace because we should feel really easy. Really common in marathons, people go, oh, I felt great in the first 10 miles, so I went a few seconds a mile quicker. Often that's more than a few seconds, but you should feel great in your taper, and you should feel really great on marathon day. The first few miles should feel maybe a little bit clunky perhaps at sometimes, but it's going to feel very, very easy. You're going to be hitting close to your pace, maybe a little bit off of it or touch inside, but you should feel really well rested. You should feel quite bouncy. It should be a relatively comfortable effort. So we don't want to kind of push that too much in training, because the whole point of the taper is to recover. So your sessions, yes, will have some intensity, but they do not need to be too intense, and they should not be moving forward. You shouldn't be running faster than you have been recently, because that will completely undo some of the work you've been doing over the last week or 2 weeks of tapering previously. So key things are running your carbon shoes. I'd say it's a great idea for most people. Running some marathon pace work, either for longer stints, just settling into your rhythm, or trying to get that starting pace really found out with some short 800-meter repetitions. Keep the volume low, keep the intensity nice and sharp, but sensible within what you're aiming for and what you've been training for, and that should set you in a great position ready for race.